Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good to see people joining. It would be great actually to know where are you joining from. I know that we have quite a global audience today from different parts of the world. So if you can drop in the chat where you're joining from, that would be awesome. I see someone joining from Egypt. Hi, sir. Good to meet you.
This is Khaled from Egypt, Matrix Organization. Nice to meet you and join this webinar.
Awesome. Good to see you here, Khalid.
Thank you.
So Egypt, Riyadh, Egypt, KSA. Oh, and also someone from Europe, Croatia. Hi, Kronoslav.
Hi. I hope you can pronounce this Zapresic.
Zapresic. I
Ah,
think I did
it's
pretty
okay.
well. Also someone joining from Riga, Latvia.
Hi.
Hi, Kronoslav. Yeah, well, I think for us, I'm originally from Riga, Latvia, so for us, like Polish, Croatian, like it's not as hard to pronounce as for some other people from other parts of the world, I guess.
I realize it a little bit late.
Yeah. Okay, so I see that people are still joining. Let's maybe wait for 1 more minute, and then I will slowly start because we have a pretty packed agenda today. And I guess then after that, some people will still join. But before I start, just some rules of engagement for this webinar. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session. So before that, if you have any questions, either drop them in the chat or write them down, and then you will be able to ask it at the end of the meeting. But I would really appreciate if during the webinar itself, you would keep your microphone switched off. And then also we'll have one kind of trivia question during the webinar. So yeah, when I will announce it, also feel free to drop your answer either in the chat, or then you can also unmute yourself and say it out loud, as I don't believe will be more than like 20-25 people. So without further ado, let's start. Let me share my screen. And I will ask you to let me know whether you can actually see it. So if someone can tell me whether you can see it or not, that would be much appreciated.
Yes, Alex, we can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Cool. So our topic for today is efficient parking operations in 2025. And we'll go through a number of trends that we see are happening in the market in 2025, and these trends will continue be there even beyond 2025. And we'll also focus on some challenges that parking operators face, but also commercial real estate developers or facility managers face nowadays. We'll talk about our innovative solutions from Floma that could actually address some of these challenges of the target groups that I've mentioned. And then we'll do the live demonstration of our brand new product, Floma. So you'll see how it works in actions. And after that, I'll share a little bit about the case studies that from the customers that are already using the product. And finally, at the end, we'll have the Q&A session. So what are the trends in the parking industry, really? There are quite a few, but we've highlighted the ones that we believe are the most important at the moment. So first, I think this doesn't come as a surprise. It's digitalization and automation. So about 70% of the parking providers said that they plan to invest into automation in 2025 and even beyond that. So there are a number of reports that are proving that there could be different ways of automating operations. One of them is, for example, introducing NPR cameras and getting rid of the reliance on the personnel on site. And others could be automating some of the operational processes and workflows, like, for example, I'm sorry, I think someone has a mic switched on. So if you can switch off, that would be awesome. So yeah, some of the operational process, like, for example, capturing the revenue or dealing with the subscribers, renewing the parking permits. So these are some of the processes that can be automated as well on the kind of back office side of the things. And apart from the automation, it's extremely important to nowadays to be data driven in any industry, not only parking, but everyone tries to gather as much data as they can and use this data in order to make decisions and make smarter decisions and earn more money at the end of the day. So what we see is that data analytics can increase the operational efficiency by up to 30% in well-managed parking facilities. This is what we see by our data when talking to our customers and seeing how they can increase the revenue from their existing parking lots by using some of the analytic capabilities. But also, this is something that is being reported by the bigger players in the market who are, for example, developing their in-house analytic solutions and are able to earn much more by leveraging the data. Speaking about the data, there is also a trend that has been around for a couple of years already, but only now really starts to yield real effects on the industry. And this is predictive analytics and dynamic pricing. There are a bunch of players on the market who can tell you that, they already have the dynamic pricing for a long time, but usually these are the companies who provide you the way to configure different rules to set up, for example, one pricing during the weekend, another pricing during the evening, another pricing during the working days. But that's not really the dynamic pricing. What we mean by dynamic pricing and when the pricing itself could be adjusted on demand. And this allows to capture, based on the data from various reports, 20% more revenue. And also, notably, I talked a little bit about the analytics in the previous slide, but there is another component to the analytics module where you can actually predict what could be your occupancy, what could be your pricing at certain days of the week or certain periods during the year. And that makes you also more data aware and makes you make better decisions. And last but not least is cloud solutions. So parking industry was historically dominated by on-premise systems, and on-premise systems need much more effort and involvement from the IT operations team in order to maintain the solutions. So at the end of the day, if we take 5 years time span, usually on-premise system would cost 40% more than their cloud alternatives. And cloud has been there for quite a while, but in the parking industry, we still see that the majority of the players have systems installed on premise locally, but we see some positive trends where people are moving to the cloud and are more willing to experiment as cloud infrastructure became much more stable. It's there are possibilities to make the solutions which are horizontally scalable and can really work with different type of demand. So let's say you have one parking lot, or you have 100, or you have 1,000. With horizontally scalable cloud infrastructure, it's possible to satisfy all of these use cases. And it's also much quicker and easier to adjust in case you have more parking lots being added, or in case you even expand your existing parking lots. So taking the strengths into account, what are the main challenges that commercial real estate owners and facility managers face nowadays? So one thing is the manual tenant management. So for commercial real estate owners, really, they do their main business is renting out offices or premises to their tenants. But with that also comes the parking inventory. So if you have multiple tenants renting out the premises in your commercial real estate, then it's quite obvious that their employees, their visitors, their investors, their customers would be visiting the location to have on-site meetings, for example, and really managing all the vehicles that enter the parking lot from the tenants or their visitors. It's a nightmare if a commercial real estate developer or facility manager does it on their own and does it manually. There is also very limited control over parking operations, because usually what we see on the market is that commercial real estate owners or facility managers, they really don't outsource the parking operations to the parking operators, because they have kind of the customers will anyways be there, and one-off customers take the much lower proportion of their customer base. Therefore, they prefer not to share the revenue that is coming from the parking with parking operations companies, which means that they have to do it on their own. And because they have less experience, they have a limited control over what is happening on the field, because they simply don't have the staff, for example, to go and to do the enforcement on site. Untapped parking revenue potential. I believe this one is a big one, because in commercial real estate properties, the first thing that commercial real estate developers think of is how they can make money from the real estate, which makes sense. But parking is a very overlooked ancillary product that comes with it. If you're not really managing your parking inventory as a business, then you won't be earning as much money from this ancillary product as otherwise you would be able to do. One example that I will provide, let's say you have a business center that has 400 parking spaces, and during the day it's always occupied. So your tenants and their employees go to work, they park the car, and they are using the parking. But then once the evening comes, the parking lot becomes empty because people left out the work, went back home, and there is nobody. But actually, it might still be a viable option for someone to park, because maybe they're living nearby, maybe they're visiting someone, and really being able to sell your parking inventory during this off-peak hours, if we call them, is a great opportunity for you to earn more money. Last but not least is staff-dependent operations. So as I've mentioned previously, for the commercial real estate owners and facility managers, they would usually not hire the parking operator company, but that means that they will have to do a lot of operational tasks themselves manually. So for example, you have a bunch of tenants, you have signed the contracts with them, but in the contract it says that only 60 vehicles from the tenant could park at the parking at the same time. So at the end of every month, you would have to manually extract the data from the PMS if you have one, or you would have to create manually the invoice to invoice the customer for using the parking. But what if there are some smaller offices where only 3 or 2 or even 1 vehicle is present? Maybe it's a one-man show, or maybe you have a co-working in your commercial real estate property where people are leasing out just hot desks, and you probably don't want to deal with all the kind of bureaucracy and sending out the invoices to each of them. You would like to automate this process, but that's a manual task that will have to be done in case you don't have a parking operators company, in case you don't have a software that will be able to manage it for you. So some of these problems can be tackled with our product Flomo. I'll go through a couple of features that we do provide. So the first functionality is the self-service portal for the tenant management. So you can add unlimited number of the tenants to your location. You can set unique conditions for each tenant, meaning what is their daily rate, and it could be different for different tenants. So for example, another way how you can maybe attract someone to rent out the facilities in your property is by providing them the lower rate than the standard rate is there for the parking. And with this system, you would be able to set very different rates to each of the tenants, and the system would be able to calculate it for you. You can define daily rates, you can define vehicle limits. So what is the maximum number of vehicles that the tenant can actually enter into the system? What are their free allowances? Maybe to one tenant who has more than 1,000 employees and all of them are have their cars and they need to park, maybe you would actually want to provide a sort of a special rules and provide some free allowances for them to keep 100 of their cars for free at the parking lot. You can also allow tenants to manage their vehicles independently. So another operational task, let's say, you as a facility manager probably don't want to deal with the like vehicles of your tenants, of the end customers. You want to offload it to them so that, for example, if they have a staff turnover, somebody left the company or somebody joined the company, then their office manager would be able to enter the vehicle number or delete the vehicle numbers for this matter from the system, and you are completely free from that. You don't have to do anything with it. And then last point here is also Flomo can generate monthly reports to track the tenant payments. So for you as a location owner, the monthly report will be generated for each of the tenants, which will have a very detailed information on how many vehicles were parked at each day during the month, how much they would need to pay you. And based on this report, you can create an invoice. So that would also save a lot of time. Later on, we'll go into the live demo of the product, and you will be able to see some of these features yourself. Another thing is subscriptions. So maybe you are not dealing with a legal entity, but as I've said, with people who are renting out the hot desks in the co-working space from your real estate. So you would be able to define a very flexible subscriptions for example, night plans, hybrid plans. So if it's someone who does not come to the office every day, but instead they work in a hybrid way, as most of the people do nowadays, maybe you can create a plan for them with 10 days from the month. They would be able to park within the subscription conditions, but then any other day, if they come during the month, for example, if they exceeded their allowance, then they would be charged a basic one-off visitor tariff. So you can set up different time intervals, different days, and etc., etc. And also you could define within the Flomo system the tariffs for the one-off visitors or one-off users. So how much free time do they have? What is their maximum daily fee? What is the parking fee? Is it per hour? Is it per day? Is it per week? And quite flexible options for you to configure very flexible tariffs also for the one-off visitors. And in some cases, if it's again a commercial property, there might be, for instance, a gym located on the property, on the facility, and the gym might have some recurring visitors, their clients as well, and for them you can create special conditions, special tariffs, for example, 2 hours for free, and then after that it starts charging the money. So the possibilities here really are limitless. QR codes or chatbots for barrier access. Quite often we hear that if, let's say, a license plate number was not recognized, then the person needs to call the number of the support of the parking operator, or they need to call someone from the facility management companies, and they would have to open the barrier manually if it's a gated parking. Well, in our case, what Flomo provides is we can provide QR codes or even a chatbot in WhatsApp or Telegram or other messaging platforms where person would be able to enter the license plate number, click on the button, and then the barrier would open up if we know that this is, for example, a vehicle of the tenant, right? So we would validate it against our database, against our system, and we would let this person in. And that reduced in some locations where we installed, where we implemented and launched Flomo, that significantly reduced the number of calls that are being directed to the call center to like open, close barriers, and etc. But also the beauty of that is that because people actually specify their license plate numbers, it keeps the session intact and you don't lose any money. It doesn't mean that, you know, for example, a customer support representative opened the barrier, but then he or she didn't capture the license plate number, and therefore the person is gone and they didn't pay for the parking if they've been a one-off visitor. In this case, that would never be a problem. And speaking of the kind of the barriers and NPR, I have one question. Would be very interesting to know from you guys. What do you think is the global average of the NPR recognition rate? And I will, if some of you don't know, NPR stands for the automatic number plate recognition, or license plate recognition for that matter. So if you can post in the chat, what do you think is the average license plate recognition rate globally across the world? 74. Okay, it's a good guess. Probably on the lower end, but 85% plus, Gennady says. Any other thoughts? Any other guesses? 80%. Okay, so we are really on the lower side today. So yeah, 90 to 95% accuracy usually is achieved by the NPR cameras in under ideal conditions globally, but as we all know, ideal conditions are usually never the case. In regions where there is, like, for example, inconsistent lighting or challenging weather, for example, rain, snow, etc., usually the real recognition rates are from 85 to 90%. So even if the licensed NPR camera manufacturers say, we have 97 or 98% recognition rate, in reality, in real life environment, it would be from 85 to 90%. But there is one big but. It's possible to apply the algorithms to increase this percentage by quite a big time. And this is one of the algorithms we have implemented in Flomo product. So we can see that with such a rate, it's possible to achieve 98% plus accuracy rates. So basically, what is the algorithm? So there are certain rules that are defined that trigger the specific entry or exit event for a review, and the person, like a physical person, could review those events. For example, we can see that, like, in specific region, the license plate number that was recognized doesn't match the pattern of the vehicles within that region, or perhaps there were double entry events and there is no exit event in between. So this will flag the session for review. I will later on show what exactly I mean by that when I will be doing the demo of the product. But then as people, like as a real person fixes that session, fixes the license plate number or the entry exit event type and so on and so forth, then there is an AI algorithm under the hood that learns from this corrections and then applies them in real time for the sessions. And based on this, like, combination of this tactics, we see that it's possible to get the NPR recognition rate up to 98% of the quality. So really going that extra mile and increasing by 10% might not look like a big number, but in money, that could be a huge difference. So it can earn you a couple of hundreds or even thousands more dollars or euros per month, depending on your traffic volume at the facility. So now let's speak about the parking operators. And what are their main challenges? So parking operators nowadays often have to work with a different PMS system or parking access control systems for that matter, because they acquired the land, they acquired the parking lot, and then there was some, for example, parking access control system already installed. It could be SKIDATA, it could be Designa, it could be Šeit & Bachmann, it could be Kame Parkare, it could be, like in Latvia, we have HiPark, FitPark, and other systems. So at the end of the day, as a parking operator, because you operate like different parking lots, you have different systems, and your people will have to work with these different systems on a daily basis. And we know, for example, from one of our friends in Interparking that their staff, their parking operations managers spend a couple of hours, so 2-3 hours per day, filling up spreadsheets by taking the data from the local PMS systems that are installed locally in sites, filling the Excel spreadsheet tables so that their upper management could actually see the revenue data in a consolidated way from all the parking systems that they operate, which is insane. And again, this is being done on kind of every parking lot that they operate. Coming to the next point, limited analytics. So as I've mentioned, for example, in case of the interparking, they have to really get the data from all the PMS systems and then put them somewhere to Excel or to another software manually. And only then their upper management can see the real picture from the field. And that really limits their possibility to make quick, real decisions in real time and see the data in real time from the parking facility. And because the data is captured in a manual way, it also really, there is a lack of predictive insights. So you cannot kind of consolidate the data in one single interface, in one single platform from the different parking locations, and then run some predictive analysis and see what could be the kind of your occupancy on different locations and optimize your pricing strategy accordingly. And last but not least is definitely the revenue loss due to unrecognized or misread license plate. We've tackled this point already before, but yeah, it really could be thousands of euros per month because you recognize 10% less license plate than you used to. So what are some of the functionalities that we have in Flomo that are tackling this? So first is the session review. It allows, as I've said, for a human being to identify and correct misled plates, but after that, the AI algorithm picks up and then is able to do it automatically. It also can automatically inform, let's say, a technician or someone who is in the customer support team that the recognition threshold dropped below certain percentage, and then maybe a technician needs to go on site and actually check what is happening. Maybe the camera was moved, or maybe there were, kind of there is drops of the rain on the camera and it doesn't have the built-in heater and so on and so forth. So yeah, and really this functionality allows to recover the untapped revenue that otherwise would be completely lost. Dashboard and reporting. I won't spend too much time on this slide, but I really want to show you the functionality of the product itself. So we have a very flexible dashboard with the insights that is able to consolidate the data from the different systems, run the predictive analysis, and also provide some reports with an unpaid session that you can use for the fine issuance, or you can also generate the tenant or location owner reports, taking all the tenants in all together, and also for the one of visitors, obviously. And integration with third-party systems. So because I've mentioned there are a lot of PMS systems that install locally on the local servers at specific locations, we are able from Flomo to integrate with them, consolidate the data in one single place, aggregate it, and ensure that you as a parking operator have a unified source of truth for occupancy, revenue, session data, and so on and so forth. So let's actually see the Flomo in action. I'm a person who is biased more towards actually showing the product rather than talking about it. So let me run you through some of the functionalities that we have here in our Flomo portal. So let's start with sessions. So in sessions module, you would be able to see all your sessions with entry, exit time, pictures from the license plate number in one single interface. You can search by the car. You can also filter out the session by their status, if it's an unpaid session, for example, or if it's an active session, meaning that somebody is still on the parking lot. If you are managing multiple locations, you'll be able to also filter out by the specific location. You can see the session in more detail, so you can see who is the person that parked there, what is the location, for how long they parked, do they belong to any tenant or they don't, and etc. etc. Then, as I mentioned, for the manual session review, it's also possible to, so let me, for example, filter out pending events. So you can see that some events have been pending. For example, we have this event with NA because the angle of the camera was not really good enough. And then if the the person or the algorithm would be able to pick up the license plate from this image, then it would be automatically reviewed. But since in this case it was not possible, then the session is not reviewed, and it keeps there in the manual kind of pending status, so that like some of our operational team can actually review and either reject this event completely because we cannot identify anything here, or do some other actions that needs to be done. Plans. So as I've mentioned, it's possible to create different plans for the different, let's say I can create a plan for the work days from 7 a.m. until let's say 8 p.m. So that would be my one plan. And then another one could be for the weekends. And apart from setting also the days limits within the plan, I can also kind of specify whether I would like this to be visible to everyone if I share the link with them, or I only want this to be visible for invited users. And what it really means is if I select, for example, this location here, I copy the link, I go to another tab, I can share this link with my customers, and they would see this landing page with all the subscriptions that I have for this specific location. They would be able to click on subscribe button and create their account, and then it will lead them to the payment. So they can really from this page already subscribe to the plans that you are offering. But then if it's, for example, a hidden, if it's something that you want to share with the specific users only, and you could always specify the location, and you can kind of share a specific plan with certain emails, right? So for example, these are the people with whom you've agreed on some specific conditions. Tenant functionality. So as you can see here, I can create a tenant. I can assign it to different locations that I have. I can specify a daily rate for them. I can specify the number of free vehicles, maximum number of vehicles, and also the time limit that they would be able to stay as free, for example. So maybe I allow 10 free vehicles, but only they can stay there for 8 hours. And then you can really manage all of your tenants, delete them, change their admin emails, and kind of see their conditions in one simple consolidated way. Now we are moving to like more interesting parts, I believe. So here is the analytics portal. So as you can see here, it's like one dashboard, but this dashboard can be customized. So this is a one dashboard that I've created. You can see what is the number of live kind of active sessions. So how many vehicles are now located at the parking spot, how many total sessions I had since the start of the operations, what is the average duration, what is the duration breakdown, for example. So I can see that 36% of my visitors actually stayed less than 10 minutes. So maybe that's some people that are passing by and they cannot find the spot because it's always occupied. And you can filter out by different customer types. So in our case, for this location, we have 41% vehicles are from tenants, 58% from that are one-off users who pay with a mobile app that is integrated with this whole system. I can see different categories of the vehicles that enter my parking lot. I can see the revenue coming from tenants, coming from one-off visitors, and coming from plans, subscription plans that I've sold for the specific location. And then I see that there is some error here that appeared, but kind of also what I wanted to show is really these two graphs. So you can see the forecasts. You can see the prediction of what could be the number of, let's say, sessions I would have in June. And what is also the revenue that I will be earning from my tenants in future months based on the revenue that I was earning previously. So for example, you can see that this is September, October, November, December, January, and I see like this dot represents how much I've earned in each of these months, and it also means that kind of I can predict some information. You can also predict the revenue for the one-off visitors here as well. I just don't have this chart added in this dashboard, and it's really easy to edit it. So kind of you can remove different widgets widgets, you can add different widgets, you can drill down into the specific reports. So if, for example, I want to open up a session duration like report, I can see it here, and it will have a lot of the kind of granular options and possibilities for me to play around with the data however I want. But that's not everything. One of the latest features that we started working on is embedded AI, so artificial intelligence, which will be your AI assistant in your parking operations space. And that is a game changer that could help you save even more time, because what I've shown so far is, for example, for the data analytics, yes, you have some charts with a predictive data analytics, but kind of you would need to go there, take a look. But here, really, you can ask some questions from the AI assistant that will work with the data that that you have in your Flomo product. So this is just for the demo purposes, one use case, but there are more use cases that you can tackle with it. So for example, my assistant tells me that I can add vehicles to to the portal. I can remove them, and I can also view the vehicles. So let me type in view my vehicles. So it says that I have a license plate number added to my account, and I can see that it's indeed the license plate number that I have added to my account. But then, for example, I can say add a vehicle with license plate number AB1234 and BA4321. I think I've already actually been adding this, so I will add a 0 here. So it will start thinking, and okay. As always in the demo, something doesn't go right. But basically what it would do, oh yeah, it added one vehicle, but for whatever reason, it didn't add the previous one. But that's just like a simple use case that can be done. We're still kind of in beta with this feature. We are working on this, but there will be many more use cases that can be solved by this functionality. So for example, you can ask on a specific day, like what was the breakdown of subscribers versus one of visitors on March 19th, 2025, and it will give you the answer. Or you can ask kind of what do you what would happen with the revenue in February 2025 if I would increase the tariffs by, let's say, €1 for one-off visitors, and etc. So it would give you the answer. So the possibilities here are limitless, and we definitely will be keep adding more and more use cases so that it really helps you streamline the operational activities that need to be done. Right. So I've covered analytics, I've covered session management, I've covered plans. Locations, obviously, so you can add and manage your locations. Here you can set the parking capacity, you can set the limits to the visitors in comparison to the kind of subscribers and tenants. Oh yeah, I didn't really share with you the reports. So every month the report will be generated where you can see the, let me open it up. Yeah, so for example, in the report, you could see kind of how much each of the tenants owes me, and I can also see a detailed breakdown with their like a number of the cars that parked at each of the day, what are the conditions, what are their daily rates, what are the free cars that they are permitted to enter into the system, and so on and so forth. So yeah, kind of quite a granular and detailed reports that can be generated and can be used afterwards. So I think from the demo, mostly that's it. Let me switch to the slides, and let me quickly let me quickly, tell you about kind of some of the customers that we have onboarded. So some case studies. One of the customers is a business center, Grizindars here in Riga, Latvia, 254 spaces. They have been doing all the tenant management manually, but they were able to replace it with a self-service portal, introduce subscriptions for the nearby residents. So there are quite a lot of buildings nearby where people live, and they didn't have any place to park their car, but now they have. And they are also paying for this, and it's all the subscriptions are handled in an automated way, buying, managing, canceling the subscriptions, and so there is no operational overhead on the facility management company. And they also use the data, for example, to figure out how many EV chargers they would need to install, because they were able to actually see how many electric vehicles are parking at their parking facility. So a bunch of kind of I've talked through some of the before and after effects. They had higher administrative costs, inefficient parking, limited payment transparency, and no automated way to track or like invoice the customer, but now they do. And another case study and another customer is Elemental Business Center. We launched it in 2025. They have 220 parking spaces, and they have managed to significantly reduce the operational expense, because previously they've been relying on the parking enforcement company that would enter and would actually check who is the tenant, who is the one-off visitor, and if it's a one-off visitor, whether they paid or not. Right now, everything is happening in an automatic way, and they were able to completely cancel the contract with the parking enforcement company. We also provided them a way to charge differently for the different customer groups, and actually that could be quite interesting. So there, next to this location, there is also a big venue location, and there is a special dedicated tariff that is configured for the days of the events, because this parking lot gets full. But also, if, for example, the event would start during the working hours and it's a working day, then the parking would not allow to, there will be a limit of how many one-off visitors can enter the parking lot if it's filled in by other people, by tenants, because tenants have a privilege. They are paying the kind of monthly fees to the facility management companies. Their employees are working there, and therefore they have the first hand in order to secure a parking spot for them. But if their parking lot is half empty, then more one-off visitors could be permitted to enter, and therefore the facility management company would be able to earn more money from those who are parking there during the events, for example, when really the whole nearby area gets crowded and gets full. So that's about it. I think there's I've covered all the ground that I wanted, and we also managed to do it on time so that we have 15 minutes left for the Q&A session. Okay,
there are already some questions.
Yeah, I see that Ed raised the hand. So Edward, if you want to, feel free to.
Yes, thank you. I came in a little late, so I apologize. Very nice presentation. Do you handle validations for vehicles? Allow a tenant to validate a vehicle for one person coming in, a visitor or an employee temporarily for a day or so? I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm. So by validation, you mean more like enforcement, or?
No, by validation means that a tenant has a visitor coming in for a particular day, or an employee from another office coming in for one day that doesn't normally park there, and has the ability to send the plate number to the system or upload it into your dashboard, so the system can recognize that as a validated vehicle, and also in turn to bill the tenant for that particular vehicle, because it's not part of the contract.
Very good question, Edward. Thank you. So it's possible to register like not only the kind of the your recurring vehicle, but also sort of like a guest registration. So a tenant could actually register like a guest vehicle for a limited amount of time, for a day or for like a specific number of hours, for example. And then this vehicle number would be able to enter the parking facility, but then after the end of the month, it will be included into the overall reporting and the tenant will be billed for that vehicle. So I guess that answers your question.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I
Oh,
have two questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Tarek.
Yeah, the first one is the Flomo software is a free software or an annual license or a forever license? This is the first. This is the first questions. The second one is the Flomo have the capability to adapt with the Egyptian number plates because we have a 3 variants on our plates, one for color and one for the alphabet and the other for numbers. So is Flomo have the capability to adapt with that?
Yeah.
Thank
So yeah, first question, it's a subscription-based pricing model. So we have different tiers. So it's possible to pay monthly. It's also possible to pay annual license fee, but it's not a free software. Second question is about the Egyptian license plate. So Floma is a kind of, we call it a centralized parking operations hub that connects to other parking access control systems or NPR systems for that matter. So here at BIS, we also have another product, which is like NPR system, to which Floma is also able to connect. And I think that actually me and Walid spoke about the Egyptian license plate numbers. We are currently running some tests on them, and we would be able to provide you the reply whether our NPR system could actually handle all the Egyptian, like all the different Egyptian license plate numbers. So we'll definitely come back to you about this question once we run the test internally with our NPR system. But again, NPR system and Floma, this would be like two different products, but they can talk to each other.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
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 So I have another quick question. And again, I
Yeah.
apologize because I came in late, but do you offer both the hardware and the software or just the software? And are you hardware agnostic as far as the NPR cameras?
Yeah. So Floma is a software and it's hardware agnostic. It can be integrated with different systems. So we, for example, as BIS, we also have another product, which is kind of a parking access control system that has hardware. So Floma is integrated with that. But Floma is also, right now we are working, for example, on the integration with Orbility parking access control system. And in the plans we have next coming up the Ski Data parking access control system. So software, but could be integrated with the different hardwares. Did I answer your question, Ed?
Yes, I had to. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was having a few problems with my technology. Yeah, yes, I understand that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. Walid, oh, yeah.
Yes, Alex, please, there's engineer Yasser. He sent a question in the chat, and me as well. Would you kindly reply to these questions? Thank you.
From the chat. Okay, let me open it up. Yasser asked, what is the average ROI when using your solution? So I would lie if I would just put one number. I would really like to, but it really depends on the site, on the location, on the customer, because there are no similar parking lots, and the setups are very different. What I can say is, for example, in our second case study in Elemental, we managed to increase the revenue per space by 22%. And also reduce the operational workload by almost 80%. So in another case study, we managed to increase the revenue by 15% in 6 months. And also we have been able to reduce the operational overhead by 20%. So quite difficult to tell specifically. I think that if you have a specific, let's say, your parking in mind, you can share with us some data like the parking capacity, your traffic flow, and your pricing, like just not maybe going into too much details, and then we would be able to estimate the ROI that you can get from the parking lot. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, I will follow up with Engineer Yasser afterwards regarding the details of this question. Thank you. And we will provide the exact data of it. Thank you.
Sounds good. And Walid, you asked one more question. Using Flomo can replace the pay stations in parking despite the tenants' subscriptions. So it's possible to pay via Flomo, like for one-off visitors as well. So through, for example, QR code or there could be like an email sent to the end customer who can pay. So practically, yes, it can replace the pay stations. It also integrates with a one-time payment system. So in Latvia, we integrated with Mobily, and we are open to integrate with other payment systems, like payment apps, basically in other countries. So in case like there's a specific app, for example, that is used in Egypt, we can definitely integrate. In that, integration time will be pretty quick. So from like 1 to 3 weeks, I think during that time span, the integration can be fully done. And yeah, so it can replace the pay stations. But in some cases, obviously, you would need to have them anyways. For example, it's required in some countries, it might be required by law in like governmental institutions. If it's an airport, then you have a lot of tourists coming in that won't be using kind of the local software payment app. So probably they would prefer to use the pay station. So yeah, depends on the specific object. But practically, it can replace.
Okay, thank you. It's clear.
Yes, sir. I think you raised your hand.
Okay. First, thank you for this event and for your answering my question related to ROI. But according to pricing model of license, as you informed, it is annually or and monthly. But it depends on what. Yani, if I have a parking system 400 cars and the parking system 600 cars, same pricing, or sizing depend on number of cars?
Yeah, great question. So we have two pricing pricing models right now. One is per location. It's a flat fee per location. And another one is per parking spot. So usually if you have just one location, which is, 200, 300 parking spots, then going with the like per location pricing model will be more affordable and better pricing for you. But if you have multiple sites, then price per parking spot would make more sense because it will just scale much better. We can share afterwards, yes, sir, like both the per location pricing and also per parking spot pricing so that you have the numbers at your hand.
Okay, thank you.
I have
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a quick question. I'm in the United States, and the trend has been moving rapidly towards gateless LPR, ANPR. In some cases, in most cases, we take advantage of the ability to access the Department of Motor Vehicles and find out the information from a person's license plate so they can be issued what we call an invoice by mail. In some states, we're not allowed to do this, and I was just wondering if you could send that violation information to a handheld device so that an enforcement person can do what they have to do, issue a citation under the windshield, boot the car, tow the car.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. So we haven't done it yet. So we can send automatically the data to the needed like institution for provisioning the fines, but we didn't yet have an experience sending it to the handheld device. So actually, I would be interested to learn a bit more about that. If there is a possibility to like integrate, I assume there is some like kind of software system under the hood to which we can, for example, send through the API the information about the fine, and then it's displayed in the handheld device of the enforcement officer. So if that's the case, then yeah, we definitely can do it. If it's like we will have to send it in a specific format to the handheld device. I'm not so sure. Needs to be studied.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
sorry.
you.
Can I maybe have a discussion with Alex about this, considering your question, Edward? Alex, we right now have also in the FitPark, which is our secondary, or let's say primary software that we make. So we have this opportunity to send information to the operator's mobile phone, where he have the information about all those cars that have paid for some kind of period of time on the like off-street parking, right?
Yes.
So how do you see? Maybe this is like in this flow mode, this could be like a additional user in our system who sees only the paid cars on the premises. So technically, probably for Edward, it also would resolve his problem for those operators who come. They would be like part-time users with some kind of restrictions in the system that they can see only the paid cars and nothing else. They don't know if it's a subscription or somebody else. If it's paid, it's okay. If not, then he can put a fine on the car because it's not registered on the premises.
Yeah, we see that in some systems. I was just curious about your system. Sorry for interjecting, but sometimes a vehicle is identified as not paying for the parking fee, and nothing is done on the part of the operator. Again, this is a gateless system, but the next time that vehicle appears or parks on any of that parking operators or CRE's lots, it's going to send that violation flag to some person on a handheld or whatever phone so that they can do something. But I know we're running out of time. I just had one more quick question about the AI portion of it. And, we're consultants, so we see a lot of different companies trying to come into the US. But is it possible to verbally request or let's say format some customized reporting? A report that says, give me all the vehicles parked between 2 and 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and just verbally request that through your platform and have it created almost as
Yeah, exactly, Edward. So that's where we are going, and it's even now possible to generate some basic reports from the AI-powered system, and we plan to expand on this functionality so that you're actually able to make much more complex queries. It's able to speak with our database fully.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that Senk, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You raised your hand 2 times and then didn't.
Yeah,
were not able to. Cenk, I'm
it's
sorry.
pronounced. Yeah, I mean there are. Edward already highlighted this gateless entrance issues. I mean, and in KSA, the security is one of the top priority to enter the car parks, and the gateless the entries is really challenging situations. How do you recognize the vehicles, whether through AMPR that opens lots of interface with the local security authorities, even to recognize the vehicles, whether it's a registered, unregistered, hostile vehicle, those kind of things. But again, I will highlight these issues we discussed in our project, and maybe send some queries, how we can address those issues through your software. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
sounds
you,
good.
Alexander.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And and just so that I hope I kind of explain it correctly, but like in case of Floma, it can work with both barrierless and gated environments. So both use cases are supported by the platform. So in cases, for example, needed for the security purposes, and there are barriers installed, so that it can work with that in that use case as well. But yeah, we can definitely talk later about specific queries. I will be happy to answer your questions. All right. So I think we're on time. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar. It was a pleasure to have you all here. Also, thanks a lot for the questions and being active. I really appreciate it. And definitely there's some further conversations to be made, and we'll be happy to talk. So have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and thank you and welcome for everybody to join again. Thank you. Bye.